Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you a book haul. So I am a very big bargain hunter. I love to find books for cheap prices. I do not like to pay full price. I almost never pay full price for a book. And so I've been doing a little bit of used bookstore and thrift store shopping, just kind of in my spare time. Whenever I am by a store, I'll just drop by and see what they have. And I picked these up one or two at a time over the past few months, probably since Christmas. And I'm just gonna go through them, let you know today what I have, because they're starting to build up on me and I want to put them on my shelves so that I can start putting them on my TBRs and get a chance to read them. Are you done? Maybe. Do you want out, buddy? You want out? Okay, come on. Sorry, I had to let the cat out. He was locked in here with me. I told him that if he didn't leave before I started filming, he was gonna have to stay for the whole thing, but I'm a softie, so I let him out. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started with the book haul. I'm just gonna start with one that I picked up at Half Price Books. This is The Village Library Demon Hunting Society. I've seen a lot of people read this. I don't feel like I've seen anybody just be like absolutely in love with this book, but when I saw it for a good price, I can't not, because it does have a cat. There's a cat on the cover. And it does say, a librarian with a knack for solving murders realizes there is something decidedly supernatural afoot in her little town in this cozy fantasy mystery. When someone close to Sherry ends up dead, and her cat, Lord Thomas Cromwell, is possessed by what seems to be an ancient demon, Sherry begins to think that she's going to need to become an exorcist as well as an amateur sleuth. So this looks very cute. I read a little bit of the first chapter. I don't know if it's going to be an all-time favorite, but I do think it's going to be something that's going to be fun to read when I need something that is just light and easy to get through. Okay, the next book I have is not light and easy to get through, and that is a copy of Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is the first book in a sci-fi series. This series is written in kind of this quasi, maybe 19th century literature format. At least it is here in the beginning. I have read the beginning of the book. I think I'm gonna really love this. It's on my 25 and 2025 list for this year, so it's one of the books that I really need to get to. So when I saw it in the bookstore, I was happy to pick it up because I don't feel like this is one I see a lot at used bookstores. So I now actually own book 1 and book 4 in this series, which I'm not proud of, that I bought book 4 before reading book 1, but I just have to find the other 2 and I will have the whole set. So this is kind of hard to explain, I think. I think telling you that it has that kind of quasi literary style to it gives you an idea of how this is probably a little bit different from a lot of science fiction books, or at least that's what I'm expecting based on the people that I have seen read it before, but I'm excited to get to this one. Okay, now I have a copy of a book that is also in my 25 and 2025, and that is Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. This is the story of a dystopian America where people that are imprisoned in the prison system are kind of forced to fight each other in a gladiator-style competition with the idea that I think if you win so many battles, you will be freed from your prison sentence. It sounds very dark, and I know it is very dark and very bloody and all of those things. I've been meaning to read it for a long time. I know it's going to be really heavy, so I think I've been putting it off a little bit. I've actually started it once or twice and then just not continued because I feel like I have to be in the right place for it. But I think that soon I am going to be in the right place for it. And now I have a copy, so I don't have a real excuse for not reading it. But this is one that's definitely been really high up on my list for quite some time. And then I picked up, so one of my favorite used bookstores in Cincinnati where I live is called Household Books. And they're actually moving locations to a different store. And so I went in on the last weekend that they were open. I got Chain Gang All-Stars, which I just showed you. And I also picked up this book, which, just because I thought it was pretty, I'm just going to be honest. So this is called Manhattan Mayhem, and it is a series of short stories published by the Mystery Writers Guild of America. This was published in 2015, and I just thought the book was really pretty. It does have this kind of, not a dust jacket, but just like a sleeve over top of it. If you want to look at that, it's got a picture there of the Empire State Building. Is that right? Or yeah, that is the Empire State Building. And then on the back and underneath there, you can see it's got maps, that will, I don't know if that's, my camera's going to focus on that. There we go. Maps that are going to show you where a lot of the stories in the book take place. And then throughout the book, and all these are stories by famous mystery writers that you've definitely heard of. It was edited by Mary Higgins Clark, who I think has since passed away. And it has things, you know, throughout there are these photographs, kind of classic photographs of New York City and the places in New York City that these stories are taking place. And so it's a really nice book. It's a nice addition. I love architecture and old things and old buildings, and I love cities. I love New York City. So I was really excited to find this. I think I'm going to keep this little sleeve on it. It does have more maps of the city underneath it. And I am probably going to display this one, but eventually I do want to read it because short stories, as I've said before, are difficult for me. They're hard for me to get into, but I aspire to read more of them. So I did pick this up and I'm excited to get to it someday. Okay, so then I went to my local thrift store. I think it was a Goodwill. And I picked up a copy of The Sympathizer. And if you hear a lot of noise in the background, you see me look away there, it's because we are currently in the middle of a huge rainstorm. So if you hear a lot of rain, I live in a very old house and my house actually has a metal roof. So when it rains, it really rains. And I am on the second floor right now. So anyway, so I bought a copy of The Sympathizer for $1. This book, I know it won the Pulitzer Prize. I don't know that much else about it. It says on the back, it's the narrator, a communist double agent, is a man of two minds. Half French, half Vietnamese army captain who arranges to come to America after the fall of Saigon, and while building a new life with other Vietnamese refugees in Los Angeles, is secretly reporting back to his communist superiors in Vietnam. It's a blistering exploration of identity in America, a gripping espionage novel, and a powerful story of love and friendship. And I've heard so many great things about this book. Literary fiction, historical fiction, maybe, I think it is. I'm just really excited to get to this, and I was excited to find it for $1 because I've been wanting to pick it up and put it on my list for quite a while. And then I think I had this in a vlog that I did, but I stopped by Half Price Books because I was near one, and if I'm near one, I'm going to stop by there. And I picked up the first book in a fantasy series that I have not started. This book is The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. And I don't know that much about this, but I do know that several booktubers whose content I really enjoy have loved this series, and I'm always looking to find more female fantasy authors to read, especially outside of romantasy, and this is definitely not a romantasy. So it says, the city of Abora once glittered with gold. Now its streets are stalked by wolves. Tomalin the Oathless has no taste for waiting to die while the realm of his ancestors falls to pieces. Talk about a guilt trip. When eccentric explorer Lady Vincenza Vintage de Grazon offers him employment, he sees a way out. Even when they are joined by a fugitive witch with a tendency to set things on fire, the prospect of facing down monsters and retrieving artifacts is preferable to the abomination left behind. But not everyone is willing to let the empire collapse, and the adventurers are soon drawn into a tangled conspiracy of magic and war. So I think it just sounds good. It sounds like a great start to a new series. This one was not on my list to start this year, but I guess it is now, and I'm excited to read it. Then moving on to yet another book that won the Pulitzer Prize, and that is The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. So first of all, I have to tell you all that I love this cover. I love these covers. I have another Michael Chabon somewhere that I'm not going to be able to put my hands on right now that has a similar style cover. It's the Yiddish Policeman's Union, which I also have not read, but I definitely wanted to start with this one. I've never read anything by this author, but I know this is the one that people recommend super strongly. And I am like not going to be able to read this because it's dark in here right now. So let me see. Okay, so here we go. So it says, in New York City, 1939, a young escape artist named Joe Kavalier arrives on the doorstep of his cousin, Sammy Clay. America is happily enthralled to the golden age of comic books, and in a distant corner of Brooklyn, Sammy is looking for a way to cash in. He finds the ideal partner in the aloof, artistically gifted Joe, and together they embark on an adventure that takes them deep into the heart of old-fashioned American ambition. From the streets of Brooklyn to the top of the Empire State Building, Joe and Sammy carve out lives, careers as vivid as cyan and magenta ink. Spanning continents and eras, The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay remains one of the defining novels of our modern American age. Sounds really good. If you have read this and you would recommend it to me, please let me know. Or if you think I should start with the Yiddish Policeman's Union, let me know that too. I have them both, and I am really looking to read one of these two books this year. Okay, so this is an author I have read before, and I got this one, I think no, this one was Half Price Books. I got this also at Half Price Books. This is Kindred by Octavia Butler, and I'm going to show you the cover a little more closely because I haven't seen this one before. Usually you see the one that has the picture of the lady on the cover, and I think this one looks really good. I have read The Parable of the Sower, and that is the only Octavia Butler book that I have read. I don't absolutely love Parable of the Sower. I know a lot of people do. I struggled with the religion aspect of it a little bit, but this one sounds really good, and I want to read another book by the author because I think her writing was so strong, and I know so many people really love her. In 1976, Dana dreams of being a writer. In 1815, she is assumed a slave. When Dana first meets Rufus on a Maryland plantation, he's drowning. She saves his life, and it will happen again and again. Neither of them understands his power to summon her whenever his life is threatened, nor the significance of the ties that bind them. And each time Dana saves him, the more aware she is of her own life might be over before it's even begun. So I know this involves time travel. And I have, as I said, really always wanted to read it. So this copy was just a couple bucks, so I picked it up so that I can put it on my TBR list and hopefully get to it soon. I'm sure that I'm going to love this. And then I found this at the library store. This is The Conductors by Nicole Glover. I'll pull that one up a little so you can see it a little bit better because, again, it's kind of dark in here. I love this cover. This is a historical mystery that I think also has some fantasy elements to it. It says, Hetty Rhodes and her husband Benji were conductors on the Underground Railroad, ferrying dozens of slaves to freedom with daring, cunning, and magic that draws its power from the constellations. With the war over, those skills find a new purpose as Henry and Benji solve mysteries and murders that white authorities would otherwise ignore. I know this is the first book in a series. I think that there are now 3 books in this series out. I'm pretty sure I saw it in my library's newsletter last month that there was a 3rd book coming out. I've been wanting to read it, but honestly probably would not have picked it up if I had not found it on the Black History Month shelf at the library store, and now I'm really excited to get to it. And then I do have a graphic novel here. This is actually George Takei's graphic novel. They called Us Enemy. This is the story that he wrote of his internment in a Japanese-American internment camp during World War II. I'm very interested. I love historic graphic novels that tell us about history or current events in a way that this format really is uniquely, I think, suited for. And I've heard good things about this one, and I am excited to read it. It is in black and white on the inside. I'm just going to open to a page so you can see the art style. So I'm going to add this to my graphic novel list and get to this sometime soon. Then I have a novel by an author I have read before who I really love, and that is Silas House. And I bought the novel Lark Ascending. This is another, I think, really beautiful cover that I've seen a cover on this book where it's a dog. But I really love Silas House. I read Southernmost by him. And this one, I believe, is a dystopian science fiction story. If I recall correctly, the back is just a bunch of blurbs, so it's not going to tell me. Let me see if it has anything in here. Yeah. A timely, powerful story of survival set in the not-too-distant future, reminding us to always hold on to hope, even in the worst of times. With fires devastating much of America, Lark and his family first leave their home in Maryland for Maine. But as the country increasingly falls under the grip of religious nationalism, it becomes clear that nowhere is safe, not just from physical disasters, but also persecution. The family secures a place on a crowded boat headed to Ireland, the last place on Earth rumored to be accepting American refugees. So, I'm not going to say it sounds like an uplifting story, but I trust Silas House, and I've heard good things about this book, and I am excited to read it. I've read a number of books recently that have this kind of climate change provokes political instability, and then everything is terrible theme. It's apparently a theme that I'm very into right now. So I am planning to read this one fairly soon, but I might need a little break from books like that because I think I read 2 of them this month already. Okay, and then we have a book that I really don't know that much about, but I have been directly, personally recommended this book at least 4 separate times by people in the comments on my videos here. So I went ahead and picked it up, but I will tell you that it is 700 pages long. and I am so intimidated by that, and that is Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. I don't know what it's about. I love the cover. It is extremely chunky, much longer than I usually go for. You get a book about 500 pages, and I have to really think about it. But this has been recommended to me so highly, and I've also seen some booktubers who I really respect, really love this book. So let's see what it's about. It says, England, 1882. In Victorian London, two children with mysterious powers are hunted by a figure of darkness, a man made of smoke. 16-year-old Charlie, despite a brutal childhood in Mississippi, doesn't have a scar on him. His body heals itself, whether he wants it to or not. Marlowe, a foundling from a railway freight car, shines with a strange bluish light. He can melt or mend flesh. When a jaded female detective is recruited to escort them to safety, all three begin a journey into the nature of difference and belonging and the shadowy edges of the monstrous. So historical fantasy. I do really love historical fantasy, and I love England, and I feel like this is going to be a great book for me. But again, I am intimidated. So if you've read this series, or if you've read this book at least, let me know what you thought about it. I am so curious to hear your thoughts. And then I have a book that was gifted to me. I'm actually friends with the author, and he sent me a copy of his first book. And that book is Red Moscow by R.C. Reid. And this is a kind of, I guess, maybe like a Bourne Identity-esque, kind of Tom Clancy-esque book. I am going to read it next month and let you all know my thoughts. But it says, in the summer of 1991, KGB Major General Anastasia Zolotova discovers an imminent conspiracy which threatens both the future of the Soviet Union and the geopolitical stability of the entire world. Now marked for death, and after narrowly escaping an assassination attempt, Tasia reluctantly turns to CIA officer Jonathan Cole for help escaping Moscow. Pursued by KGB killers, she fights to bring down the KGB chairman, setting in motion what history will one day call the August coup. So I'm going to be honest and tell y'all I don't know anything about this period in history, but I am excited to read this book, and I'm excited for my friend that he published his first book, and so I will get to that next month, but I wanted to put it in my book haul because I did receive it this month. And I have just a few more here. So I do have another Pulitzer Prize winning book. I'm really trying to get myself into some literature, like real literature, in addition to all the fantasy and science fiction that I love, because I love these books too. And that is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony, is that Doerr or Doerr? I'm not sure. This is a World War II story. I know there's a movie, and I've seen the movie cover a lot. I picked this book up at the thrift store for $1, along with a bunch of the other books that I have in here. Somebody must have just dropped off all of their lit fic that they didn't get around to reading or something, because there was a ton of good fiction at the thrift store that day. I know this is probably going to be a heartbreaking story, but I'm really excited to read it. I've never read anything by this author, who I know has a number of books that people really love. So I'm excited to get to that one sometime soon. And then I have a few more books here. I picked up the first book in yet another fantasy series, I know. This one is A Winter's Promise, and it's the first book in the Mirror Visitor series. This series, I think, started coming out in 2014, so around the same time as a lot of other kind of young adult fantasy fiction, which this is definitely a young adult fantasy. I've seen a lot of people really enjoy it and talk about it, along with, I think, some romantasy, but putting it in the you might like this if you don't like other romantasy categories. So that always makes me very curious. I know it is translated from French, and I am really excited to read it. I'm not gonna, oh, what's this? Wait, it has it has a business card. I'm not gonna show you that, from somebody who works at Miami University of Ohio. And they made a little love is equal bookmark that they put in here and left in the book. Well, that's cute, and I like that. And I'm excited to start this series, and I would love to hear if you have read it, if you have enjoyed reading this series. I have a couple of Book of the Month books here, and this is the second book in a series, which I've already read books 1 and 3, and that is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. So this is book 2 in her kind of witchy series of romances that starts with the Ex-Hex, then the Kiss Curse, then the Wedding Witch. And I have read books 1 and 3, but I haven't read this one. And I think this October, when we get to the right season for this, I'm definitely going to read this book. I love the other two. They're not great literature, but they are cute and funny and just kind of a good time. So, and I like the couple that I know is in this one, so I'm looking forward to reading their love story. And then another romance that I have heard good things about, also from Book of the Month. This is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I know the Brown Sisters series is a thing. I have read none of these. This, I think, is the third book. Is that right? Maybe. Or maybe it's the first one. I'm actually not sure at all. It says, Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list. And almost but not quite dying, she's come up with 7 directives to help her get a life, and she's already completed the first, finally moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. And then there's a list of things that she wants to do, and she's going to meet a handsome man who's going to help her do that, obviously. So I think this might be maybe this is the first one in this series. Does it say? Well, it doesn't list any other books, so I'm going to assume that it is the first book in the series. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It sounds cute. I have a bunch of romances on my shelf right now that I picked up from Book of the Month copies that I have not gotten to. So I've got to start making an effort to put these in with my list. I'm just so hit or miss with romances. It's like I either love them or I hate them. And I don't think that's an even balance for me, but this one does look very cute. So I'm excited to read it. Then I have 2 more books. This first one here is The Light Pirate by Lily Brooks-Dalton. And you can see this cover right here. I've seen a couple different covers of this. This is another, I think, climate fiction, a sci-fi book. And it says on here that it won the Dayton Literary Peace Prize. Oh, it's the fiction runner-up for the Dayton Literary Peace Prize, an international award, which is an award that I know is taking place in Dayton, Ohio, which is just very slightly to the north of me. So that's fun. This says, Florida as we know it is slipping away as devastating weather patterns and rising sea levels wreak gradual havoc on the state's infrastructure. A powerful hurricane approaches a small town on the southeastern coast. Kirby Lowe, an electrical line worker for the local utility municipality, his pregnant wife Frida, and their 2 sons prepare for the worst. And it's got some more stuff in there that's probably spoilery to read, but again, it's another climate fiction book, which is a thing that I am definitely, I don't want to say enjoying reading right now, because that does not sound right, but it's definitely a subject that I am finding myself drawn to because it's something that feels very current and kind of what's going on. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I have read the author's other book, Good Morning Midnight, which is a post-apocalyptic story, but a very small one. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really great. So I'm hoping that I love this book just as much. And then I have one final book here in my book haul. We're almost done. I have The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I love this cover. So I tried to read Tom Lake by Ann Patchett last year when everyone was reading it. And I really kind of did not enjoy it at all. I thought it was very slow. And I don't think that I wanted to read a novel about COVID lockdown, like at all. I don't know when I'm ever going to be ready for that, but I was not ready then. I did not like it. So I work in a retirement home, and sometimes the residents will talk to me about the books that they're reading. And I saw one of them reading Tom Lake, and I asked her what she thought about it because I had read it, and she told me that she thought it was really boring and she didn't like it, and I was like, oh no, I thought it was boring too. And she said, what? You would really like The Dutch House. The Dutch House is really good. So this is for her. They had it on the clearance shelf at Half Price Books, so it was just a couple dollars. And so I picked it up, and I'm going to read this because it was recommended to me by someone in real life who I can tell you reads a lot of books. So what is this about? At the end of the Second World War, Cyril Conroy combines luck and a single canny investment to build an immense real estate empire, propelling her family from poverty to enormous wealth. His first order of business is to buy the Dutch House, a lavish estate in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Meant as a surprise for his wife, the house sets in motion the undoing of everyone he loves. It does say that it's kind of like a family story that's told over the course of 5 decades. So I think it's not that long. I really want to give Ann Patchett another try because I think that Tom Lake was just not the book for me. And I think this one might be it. So if you've read it, let me know. I would love to hear about it. I think I've said that 20 times in this video. All right. So that is it. That is every book that I have picked up this winter. And I'm going to go ahead and add all these to my TBR jar, and I'm going to put them on my shelves and get ready to start reading them in the coming months. Please leave me a comment and let me know if there are any books that you have picked up recently that you were really excited to read. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.